All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. So this is our second day on the Mental Health Awareness Week and raising money for mental health. So yesterday we had an awesome day. We had the CEOs and directors of the three charities that we're looking to raise. And the thing that was super impressive is this time that they spent talking about the charities and everything that they're doing in order to be able to make a difference towards mental health. So the first one is the Wounded Warrior Project, and they're spending a lot of time with veterans who are dealing with PTSD, anxiety. The rate of anxiety and PTSD within our veterans is at really truly alarming rates. And these are absolute warriors that made the decision to fight for our country. And it's what Wounded Warriors is doing is a fantastic job as far as supporting them after the time that they're in the military. And to learn more about that, you can go to the Wounded Warrior website. And then the other one was the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It's the number one leading outreach kind of call center for those individuals in a time of desperate need, and they'll help them and direct them as far as where to go to find help at that moment, from a therapist to a doctor, to just going to a hospital, but really having an outlet and doing more to help them. And they're doing a lot more on college campuses right now, on an outreach as far as just an assessment for people to be able, for kids to be able to say if they're experiencing suicidal thoughts or areas of depression, and they'll be able to have the information come in and then reach out to them proactively and see about finding help for them. Suicide rate is obviously, for any one suicide, it's just not enough. And so the more we can do to get ahead of this, it's going to be, really helpful. And then the other one is Project Healthy Minds. This one is fantastic because what they're doing is providing a free service where anybody who has some kind of issue around mental health can actually go online and find some help, like, and again, it's therapists, a doctor, whatever it might be, areas, information around medication, things like that. So really, really exciting, all three of them, and couldn't be happier to be able to help raise money for them. So the goal this week is 5 million. And already within the first 24 hours, we've had fantastic pop. We're at 869,000 is what we've raised so far. And for every dollar that somebody puts in, the guaranteed rate will match it 3-to-1. So if it's $1, it turns out to be $4. If it's $100, it's $400. $1,000, it's $4,000. And we have some people that have already contributed $10,000. Their $10,000 contribution actually turns out to be $40,000 is what they're contributing. So absolutely incredible. We have over 15,000 employees within the all guarantee rate companies. We would love for everybody to contribute, whatever you can. Please get involved, contribute. We want to be able to also have you reach out to your friends, your family members, things like that, in order to be able to get involved. So today we have a really exciting group on the call, and we're going to discuss a lot around mental health as it relates to nutrition, just kind of a mindfulness thought about how you treat your body with your mind. Like everything works, right? Your mind, your body, and so we have Rose Namajunas, Rose is absolutely an amazing person. She is and we talk about true warriors. She's a true warrior. She is a world champion in the UFC and just had her second fight to defend her title at Madison Square Gardens. And Rose is with us. And then James Herrera, who has been a coach for the Olympics in cycling and BMX. And he has some very interesting stories about his time working with the athletes, especially the BMX athletes, and just the overall space. And he's a director within the Wounded Warrior Project. So I wanted to bring both of them on the camera here. So Rose and James, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So we were talking earlier just about, our stories and about mental health. And, I have, life is, we talked about peaks and valleys. You go through all these different, life challenges. And, my toughest time was I went through a divorce, and it hit me hard. A lot of regret around a lot of different things. And I was incredibly broken by, not being around my kids all the time, and the mistakes that I made. And I was really like a walking zombie for like a year. And I remember a buddy of mine, gave me some advice, and he said, he made it really simple. He said, drink tons of water. It sounds basic, but sleep 8 hours a day. Stop drinking, right? He said, eat clean, healthy foods, right? Exercise every day. And the one thing he didn't talk about, which I got into, was meditation. And then I also was praying a lot, right? And having those things as core things, and they sound so basic, but it allowed me to really focus on kind of doing the work that I kind of needed to do to get myself healthy and get myself back into being in a better place. Positivity, I know we talk about it within the company a lot. It's really driven around kind of what I went through. Positivity was a key thing, because mentally shifting like my thought process was, there's so many negative things on the news, so many negative things in life, so many ways to be able to really run down the wrong place, right? And it was really important for me to be able to take the time to kind of shift that, think positively, and make it, start really making a difference. And even to this day, it got me into a much better place in my life. But even to this day, I'll have a bad day. I'll have a bad week. I'll have something that won't go well, really start to create even some anxiety in my life. And I'll go back to those key principles that will help me get through it. I would love to hear, your stories and, kind of what your thoughts are on, your feelings around mental health. And Rose, if you want to start.
Oh, okay. So all of the things that you said, yeah, drink water, sleeping good, eating good, exercise, definitely the meditation, praying, all those things are like the core things that are must have in your life for good mental health. And then from there, it's like, like if you can make a foundation of like a healthy environment for mental health to thrive in, then you can kind of take the next steps of like, what is my purpose, and discovering what it is that you want to do with your life. Because I think a lot of people are missing that, and or doing things that they thought they wanted to do, and then they realize like, this doesn't really make me happy. And so you kind of have to figure out what that is. I think that's super essential. And I think having that connection to like, you know, a higher power, or just really knowing yourself really well. And obviously being healthy, like physically healthy, creates that opportunity to be able to discover your purpose. And a lot of the times it's, you know, I think for a truly happy person, I mean, unless you're just, you know, just a not a good person, but I think ultimately I do believe in the like the good of humanity, and that's our natural way of being. And I think if we all of our purpose kind of is the same as far as what we're doing here, and that's to serve others. And what is it that we're given, like talent wise, or maybe a vision, or something like that that we can give to other people, or that we can help other people. And that kind of is the driving force through the valleys, and to get to the next peak. And then obviously just experience and different things. And there's lots of little things like little things you learn. You mentioned positivity. Well, there's a lot of little tricky negative voices that we can kind of, or negative things we can tell ourselves, like, I don't want this to happen. Instead of saying like, I don't want this to happen, like, I don't want to be late for this thing or whatever. It's like, I'm going to be on time. You got to switch like what you don't want, and kind of like the positive self-talk. Those are like little things that I think are always kind of constant, and you have to train yourself to do all the time. So other than that, you know, the core things: eat, sleep good, drink water, and then finding your purpose, and then having the resolve to get through those tough moments. And I can go into this more deeper, but basically I had a really huge discovery, like a revelation, through this really crazy story. Like, I had a dream that the guy was basically telling me everything is transient, everything is temporary. And I didn't even know what transient meant, but then I woke up and I just knew transient means temporary. And so anything you're going through, whether that be the you know, highs of the highs or the lows of the lows, you got to know that it's all part of a journey. You got to kind of learn how to enjoy all of it, even the sucky moments, because there's something to be had through those times as well.
Yeah, I love that. There's so much there. So talking about transient moments, you know, I had someone just tell me the other day that there's some documentary about people who have jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and lived. They said as they're jumping off the bridge, the minute they jumped off, there was something like 97% regretted it.
Yeah.
And it was like in that mind that, you know, it's like that transient mentality where you're at a specific moment, where you're at your darkest moment, it always gets better, right? And it's like, how many times have people gone through life where there's like, you know, things are really in bad shape, and you always know that, you know, things are going to get better. And it's like, you're talking about things about doing work around mental health in order to actually make a difference, you know, in your overall well-being. And you know, I know there's a lot of people, they say, in 1 in 5 people are experiencing mental health issues. And I mean, it's such a massive percentage. And for people to have that reminder, to know that whatever they're dealing with, whatever the dark period that they're in, that things are going to get better. But they also, it's important for them to do the work, stay positive, do the things that are necessary in order to be able to get themselves out of it, see the right, you know, therapist, go out and look for the help that they would need. The thing I love about what you said too is talk about life's purpose, right? I think, because you really don't know. And like, last thing you're thinking about is your life's purpose when you're in a dark spot, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's
great.
the biggest challenge, I think, for people to find. For me, I'm really blessed because I've sort of, I have this mission in my mind that's been ingrained in with me ever since I was a kid, and that's I want to be a farmer one day. So, and that's what I'm doing. I am a farmer, but to be full time and to bring that to other people, and teach other people how to do it, and yeah, just do that the rest
Love
of my
that.
life. Is what I want to do. But ultimately, like, I think that's probably the biggest challenge for most people is finding what it is that like is burning desire in their heart, that's all they want to do.
Love that. So what kind of farmer do you want to be?
So it's gonna sound weird, but so because I want to be a Earthship Farmer. And that sounds weird because you probably don't, maybe a lot of people don't know what it is, but it's the self-sustaining house. And it has all of the human basic needs. It's like built from recycled materials, and it provides you with like food, water, shelter, all those things, heat, warmth, cooling. And we just went down to New Mexico to the community down there and talk with the inventor of it. And we're starting to visualize, what that's going to look like. And I want to build one for myself, but I also want to like teach other people and just basically build them all over the world. And then, other things too. I love growing everything. I love, all vegetables and different things, but so it's weird to call myself a farmer of like an actual building or housing structure, but that's just how I view it.
Well, are you talking about sustainable living? Like, is that what that is? Is like you're just completely off
Completely
you
off
you can
the
live. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's very cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, one of our core beliefs, I'm a big believer in law of attraction. So if you believe something, as if it's going to be true, it's going to happen. So everything you're talking about, I'm sure that not only are you going to do it yourself, but you're going to probably be the leader within the space,
Oh yeah.
probably teaching people to do it. So you're already there. Like you're thinking the same way. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I remember in the fight that you had where you won the championship, Joe Rogan talked to you about it afterwards and said, you keep at the beginning, you kept calling, saying, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, of course she was going to win. Right. I mean, there's no doubt, like you believed you're the best. You believed you're going to win. Like it was law of attraction. Like you knew that, like you were so sure it was going to happen. Like you drove yourself to that point to make sure it was going to happen. So, I think a lot around mental health is in the ability for people to think about what it is that they could accomplish. Because wherever you are in your life, where you're seeing yourself at this one moment with mental health, it could be whatever you want it to be, right? And that's like people are in a dark place or in that one place in their life where, like where they are, as far as them to think about what they want their life to be, and then to believe it, and then move and create activity and action to be able to move forward in that way. It's really powerful what the mind can do,
Yeah. And I think, saying I'm the best and believing it, it's like, it wasn't so much about creating it to happen as much as it was just about controlling my own inner voices and my own self. And then from there, I can't control what happens outside of me. Even if, like, say I won, I can't control, like, if somebody didn't want to give me the belt, they could just take it, you know what I mean? Or they could just not give it to me, like, even if I won or what. So I can't worry about that kind of stuff. I just have to worry about what I can control, and that's myself and doing my best. And, it just so happens that I have nothing but proof that when I do my best, I am the best. And I believe that's in my heart, that is what I'm destined to be. If there's eventually, if my belief inside of me is like, that's not what I'm here to do, I'll say something else. I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna just do my best. I'm gonna do my best. But yeah. So
that's awesome.
It's all about what that you want, what you feel is possible.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I'd like you to stay on when we talk to James and have James part of this. But James, you and I were talking earlier, and and so we were talking about it. And I'd love to have you kind of share your experience with mental health, and what you're doing with the Wounded Warrior Project, as well as when you're an Olympic coach, and just the things you're doing in life.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So when I was coaching and coaching at the Olympic
on the screen
level, I would say that with that level of athlete, our high performance team is looking for every possible angle to improve an athlete's performance. And obviously, a lot of that has to do with the physical training. That's where I think everybody looks first. But there's about a dozen other different categories that we can really look at to impact an individual. And you guys touched on a couple of different ones, Victor and Rose. And you were going through all the sleep, the hydration, the mindfulness and meditation, the gratitude journaling. Those are all things that we did with my Olympic kids. Sometimes it wasn't something that came to them naturally, but we coached them through that process and showed them if we can get a 0.5% or 1% improvement from someone competing at your level, we're going to do everything it takes. And all those little 1-2% gains are going to add up. Nutrition was absolutely a huge facet of that. And I used to preach to them time and time again, what you put in your body is one of those things that you can control. It impacts how you're feeling during training in that output that you can give. It impacts your recovery on to a tremendous degree. And it also impacts your mood. And that's one of the places that I think we look at when we talk about mental health. Nutrition has an incredible impact to mood. And so if we can help someone's rate of anxiety or depression, in the case of our veterans, PTSD, bringing the symptomology of that down through nutritional and physical inputs, then we're taking a step ahead in the game. I think one of the things that I love most about Wounded Warrior Project is the multifaceted programmatic approach that we take to mental health. We've got such a great variety with our Project Odyssey and outdoor adventure-based multi-day curriculums. We've got a 2-week intensive care program with our Warrior Care Network when folks are really needing something a little bit more with a one-on-one FaceTime with a psychologist. And then we've got our talk therapy program, which is just what it sounds like. You need to talk to someone, you need to connect, you need to get things off your chest. And through all that, I would say the underlying theme is we've always got our physical and nutritional approaches. And this sort of the core of everything we do. It's sort of tying everything together. So we've got data. That's one of the other things I love about the organization. We've got historical data for years that demonstrate that through nutritional and physical inputs, we see amazing rates of return on psychological well-being, lower rates of depression, lower stress, lower anxiety, better sleep, which is paramount to everything. So, I love what I do. Rose and I were having some great dialogue earlier. She mentioned that after fighting, or during fighting, I should say, that she was on such a high, such a emotional and dopamine high, because as we know, dopamine is that feel-good hormone. So when we do things that are fun or exciting to us, we get a rush of dopamine in the brain. And fighting for a professional athlete or competing, and for our combat veterans, being in a firefight, they're never going to feel that level of dopamine rush ever again. And so that's where I think we really have to concern ourselves with some of the mental health issues that they have when they're not competing, when they're not fighting, when our veterans are not in combat. We've got to have great strategies to support them when they come back from that, to help them cope with those stressors so they don't go down the wrong path. And I think substance abuse is one of those categories that comes into play as folks are dealing and coping with those things.
So what are some of the things that, as far as nutrition, are you suggesting? Obviously, I would think a lot of the things that we would think of, no fatty foods, fried foods, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, nutrition is one of the most, I would say, discussed, convoluted, controversial topics out there when you look at the overabundance of information available. Everybody's an expert, everybody's got an opinion, and you can really confuse yourself about whether you should or shouldn't eat meat, whether you should eat dairy, whether you should go gluten-free. There's just so much variety in the recommendations. And truly, it comes back to what you said originally. It's eat good, clean, healthy food. Most of the research that's been done on nutrition for brain health or mental health, it sort of falls back on some of the core diets. I mean, there's sort of a big concept out there now called the MIND diet, which is a combination of something called the DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet, both of which were created for different things. And so what the research is saying now is the same diet that is the most helpful to prevent obesity, to prevent diabetes, and to prevent heart disease is the exact same diet that will contribute to the best brain and mental health. It's the same diet that will contribute to the best athletic performance. So what are we talking about? We're talking about vegetables, full color spectrum of veggies, lots of green leafy stuff. We want to get all the phytonutrients that we can, which are just basically nutrients that come from vegetables. Lots of berries, so blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and other fruits. Nuts and seeds for healthy fats. Fatty fish, things like salmon, once a week. Other recommendation is reducing the consumption of red meats, so not overdoing it in that particular category. And I think the most obvious one is reducing processed packaged foods, sweets, things that are going to impact our insulin sensitivity and inflammation in the body. Victor, you mentioned alcohol, and there's always been a controversy around, well, is one glass or glass of beer, a glass of wine once a day, is that good for the brain and body? The Mediterranean diet recommended wine for heart health, and the recommendation still sort of holds true. A glass or so a day can be helpful. Beyond that, now we start to cross the line in some things that are going to impact the brain and impact the body in a potentially negative way, right? And so we're also drinking calories is also something that we want to consider, because it's really easy to overconsume calories when they're in liquid form. And so I would tell people to caution themselves around that. But you hit the nail on the head when you said good, clean food and a lot of hydration, water as much as you can.
That's great. Yeah, Rose, how about you? I have to imagine nutrition is a huge part of your training and what you're doing.
Yeah, so it is. And I think, I guess compared to maybe I don't know what a lot of other athletes do. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but for myself, it's it's very intuitive because I feel as though I know my body very well, and I know what works for me. I know what feels good when as soon as I can taste when something's bad, like instantly, and it's supposed to be good, and it's just like, no, this isn't good, or vice versa. Like, this feels really good to me. And so I've been through all kinds of different diets and tried different things, and I realized that just balance is just so important, and knowing yourself is so important as well. And so one of the things that I do know works really well for me is lots of vegetables, lots of leafy green vegetables. I really love kale, and I've really gotten addicted to it over the past year or so. I have some type of typically what my day kind of goes around in training camp. Obviously, when I'm out of training camp, I kind of just like to eat a little bit of everything, and it's not really that big of a deal to me. But when I'm in training camp, I try to just sort of the thing that makes me really feel good is fresh juice. I like carrot, apple, orange, ginger juice, and ginger, heavy on the ginger. I'm crazy about the ginger. I feel like it's just I had this respiratory issue back in 2019, and that just cleared out my throat so much. And ever since then, I've been really healthy. And I would like to do it more, even though it's a little tricky, but I like to add broccoli sprouts to a lot of the stuff that I eat, because it contains a lot of sulforaphane, and sulforaphane is, from what my recollection, it helps with the brain. It helps with is it cortisol, I believe, but it's the stress hormones inside your body. And so that's really important for me, especially dealing with what I do. And anytime that the store has lion's mane mushrooms, those are really good for your brain as well. So, and they just taste really delicious. I fry them up in some butter. It's a little treat. And then other than that, like I have my juice in the morning. I don't really eat until like midday. I drink lots of water because I usually train in the morning, like my hard session. And so I don't like to train on a full stomach. Uh, and then I really like buckwheat. It's really healthy for you. I think people are starting to realize like, oh, buckwheat is great for you, but it's something that is in my Lithuanian roots. I really love Lithuanian food, even though like some people would maybe beg to differ and think that it's not the most healthy thing. But for me, like I need calories. I burn so much calories. I eat, I love potatoes. There's a lot of Lithuanians eat pork. I don't like to eat too much pork, but beet soup is like a huge thing there. Beets, cabbage, carrots. So they eat a lot of really healthy vegetables, but some people might sort of debate over the meat part. For me, everything in moderation is always key, but I do like, in order to feel strong, I do like to eat good meat, every once in a while. Especially I get like my from a local farmer around here, and I have like I have a cow share, so I get like raw, fresh cow milk. But I mean, those are things I totally understand going the vegan route for some people that works, and for me, I also feel really good just on vegetables too. But I love I love food. I love good food.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, the things we're talking about is, it's consistent. And if you look at the flip side of somebody who might be in a state of anxiety or just not in a good place and having mental health issues, and they're drinking too much, they're doing drugs, they're eating, heavy fatty foods with, coming out of a box, a can, fast food, things like that. And then you're not getting enough sleep. You're not drinking water. I mean, you're talking about really doing damage to your body and doing damage to it's your mind. And so giving yourself the best opportunity is as simple as it sounds. It's just, some water, right? It's eating clean, healthy foods. Really, I know it's difficult, but trying to get to the 8 hours a night in sleep, exercise, incredibly important. So, I really appreciate the two of you. This flew by. This went by so fast. It's crazy. But incredibly generous of your time. And really sharing. You guys, this was. I expected this to be a great session, but it was better than I expected. But it was even better. So thanks so much. I really appreciate both of you, and just for everybody who's on, please, get involved. Ultimately, we want you to be healthy mentally, and we want you to be able to share a lot of, your experiences and things that, you've done in your life. Please get people into the, showing people the videos and things like that. But really help get behind this week on raising money and awareness in mental health. Let's really get continue the momentum and get us to the 5 million. I'm just going to say it one more time. To donate, it's rate.com/mental health. Rate.com/mental health. Tomorrow, we have the number 4 golfer in the world, Patrick Cantlay, and we're going to talk about, recovery, movement, exercise, things like that. And then we have Dr. Raymond DePaulo, who's also going to be on there, and he is from Johns Hopkins University. And then we're, Rose and James and I also mentioned meditation, and we have a reincarnated Buddhist monk who's a Lama, who's going to be joining us on Thursday. And he's going to go through specific breathing techniques and meditation techniques where they learn. Where he was taught in the Tibetan monastery. So really, it's going to be very insightful for you to be able to help calm that unconscious mind that talks and talks and talks all the time, that's what we're going to talk about, and getting to a more peaceful place in your life. So again, thanks so much for being on and joining the call. And we appreciate all your support. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much, Rose. Thanks, James. You two are amazing. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.